Hi everyone and welcome to Latin America Correspondent, and I'm delighted to say that today I am here live in San Miguel and I'm delighted to be with Greg Gunter, and it's Christmas, Greg.
It's the holidays. Felices fiestas a todos. That means Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays actually to everyone. You can see we're here in front of the festive Rockefeller Plaza tree. It's a little bit smaller than Rockefeller Plaza, but pretty close to the same size. We're going to talk about the holidays in San Miguel de Allende.
How does the holidays, how does Christmas manifest? I guess two questions that are related to each other. One, how specifically does it manifest in terms of San Miguel de Allende? And also, because of course, you've been in San Miguel now for 16 years, how it's obviously different from your memory of Christmas. I'm guessing there's some real attractions to it culturally for you too.
The interesting thing about the holidays of Christmas, especially in Mexico, and especially in San Miguel de Allende, because that's where we are today, that's where we're going to kind of focus on that. Obviously Christmas is a big deal for Catholics, so that aspect of it has always been a big tradition in all of Mexico, and especially in San Miguel de Allende. There's so many Americans that have been in San Miguel de Allende since the late 30s that they've adopted a little bit more of the American Christmas tradition. So you see more of the big trees and the more decorations, and they've gotten away from a little bit of the religious theming in the public city areas, and doing more of what we kind of think of as the American style of Christmas planning. So, and decorations with the big boxes, the gifts and things like that. Well, Mexicans don't do gift giving until Three Kings Day on January 6th, way after we've forgotten about Christmas. So there are different traditions in Mexico, but San Miguel has sort of adopted a lot of those American things as well. It's kind of interesting to see the mix of the two here in San Miguel.
So there's almost like a hybridity of cultures that comes. San Miguel, which, we've talked about it a number of times, but essentially, again, just to emphasize that to such a small place, to have this sort of cosmopolitan gathering, and not just people from San Miguel, but also people from South City, and sort of but it's definitely pretty unique, I think, for Correspondent and Max.
It's definitely unique, and what a lot of people love to do is wander around and look at the little creches or nativity scenes that people create. They will create those in their living room, for instance. They'll block off the living room and have the door open all night long, and people could come through and take a look at the nativity scene that they've set up. We also can't quite see it from it's at a camera range right now, but we'll show you a little bit of footage in just a little bit of the gazebo that's in the town square there. And they literally set up a live creche, the live nativity scene with figures and real sheep and a real donkey. And it's amazing. So there is still some of that throwback to the old religious theming that you see, but in a very charming provincial way. That's what we love about San Miguel. It's a very cosmopolitan city, but we still have a lot of that throwback to the provincial, Christmas theming with the nativity scenes and the creches. We love that. So we're standing in the town square. It's called our town square. In most of Mexico, the town square is called the Zocalo. And if any of you have ever been to Mexico City, that's what they call the big plaza there, the Zocalo. Here it's called the Jardín. We have a lot of trees here that are ficus-like trees, and so it becomes a garden environment, and so they call it the Jardín here. We're right in the Jardín, right next to the Parroquia, which is our iconic Eiffel Tower figure of San Miguel de Allende. And this is the Christmas tree that they set up every year. We're getting ready to light it in 2 nights. There's a big celebration. The whole town will come down and we'll all light up the Christmas tree, kind of like the Rockefeller, kind of presentation that we do. But you'll see as we walk around here just a little bit of the footage of a lot of the decorations that they put up around town. The strings of lights that they have, people put ribbons around their doorways. Some of the doorways in town that we're going to show you a little bit of here are amazing. They'll put very elaborate, decorative, woven garlands around the doorways and the entryways to the businesses and some of the bed and breakfast and the hotels around here. So
generally speaking, in Mexico, the Central Plaza that I've been to in San Miguel is a place for people to come to, sit, spend time. It's a really public space. It's a really lived space. And of course, it's the same here in San Miguel too.
The interesting thing about the Jardín for Mexicans is, many Mexicans don't have a living room. This is their public living room. So Sunday is the big family day, for instance, in Mexico. You know that, John, you lived here so long. So a lot of the Mexicans come down on Sunday to hang out and kind of be together with family and, to get an ice cream, have some tacos. There's always 2 or 3 toy vendors selling, inflatable balloons and things like that. Us gringos love to come down and watch them. So it's great people watching all weekend, to be honest with you, but especially on Sunday, because there's a lot of activity that goes on in the Jardín So you'll see, 3 or 4 or 5 different mariachi bands that are competing for competition with each other, and all the families wandering around, the food vendors. It's just an amazing experience to spend time in the Jardín, especially at Christmas. They'll light up the Christmas tree here. They'll have a band. We'll have great music going on. So if you can, come down next Christmas.
Greg, from a personal perspective, what were the things that you most look forward to about Christmas?
It's a really, wow, don't make me get emotional here, John. From a personal standpoint, I really think a lot of us think about giving back to the community, and giving back to my team, to my staff. We are big supporters. For instance, we personally, me and my business partner in my office, are big supporters of Warren Buffett's Giving Pledge. And this year we're giving 10 university scholarships to Mexican kids. So giving is a big deal, and that's something that we will really try to do year round. I mean, we do it year round. We just make a bigger push at Christmas time because it tends to be more of a, kind of a giving time of season. But that's really, the biggest thing I think is giving back to the community and helping the community as much as we can. Building a lot of rapport with my staff. We have our big holiday party coming up. You'll get to see me like this again in another video in about another week, team.
Since we've met, obviously you're a realtor, but it's been pretty clear to me that you're also just really engaged with the community. Participate a lot and actively participate in cultural events. You're giving and making sure and sort of bringing people up as well, supporting the community. Has that always been the case with you? Is that something that started here? How is that how did that emerge in terms of your personal and professional life?
It's interesting. I was always involved with a lot of the health societies, a lot of the March of Dimes, Cancer Society. I was married to a nephrologist for 16 years. So I was, the kidney, the foundation, a lot of those kinds of organizations when I was in the United States. Down here, I tend to work a lot more with organizations that help the locals. So we're big supporters of an organization called Allende, which is a little bit like a Habitat for Humanity for the local Mexicans here. We built, I think we're up to about 187 homes now for 4 families that live in the countryside. And, again, it's a very Mexican, actually not just Mexican, very San Miguel specific foundation that we really like to support. So I kind of changed my support to much more locally based organizations that kind of help the locals here. Patronato Pro Niños is another one that I was on the board with for 3 years and a big supporter of still. And they provide health care for all Mexican kids here in San Miguel up to the age of 18, any kind of health care. Yeah. So it's amazing what we do, the American community here does for the locals to kind of help with anything from helping get meals to the kids at breakfast time, healthcare, education. We have probably 3 or 4 different educational programs that are involved with. Harris and Cambio provides scholarships for women, for instance. Jóvenes Adelante provides any kind of scholarships, boys or girls. The Biblioteca scholarship program that I just said I bought 10 scholarships for kids. All of those are very locally based, and that's kind of been a change of my focus since I've lived here, is to be very locally based. Yeah.
And it seems to me as well that people who come here, who choose to come here, I mean, some people come here because it's beautiful and it's mentioned in Condé Nast and various other things. But it also seems to me that San Miguel does attract a particular kind of person who is looking for that local connectivity that you maybe don't get in other parts, in more obvious touristy places like in Cabo, Puerto Vallarta, in those places. But there's a real kind of human scale that's live there. Here and interconnectivity, which is highly desirable to people coming from maybe other parts of the world, other cities, the US perhaps as well, that are less personal.
Yeah, clearly that's the case. We have 120 NGOs here in San Miguel, and I think all but 2 of them are funded, managed, and organized by Americans. So imagine that team, 118 NGOs that are managed by Americans and funded by Americans. We all sit on the board, we all contribute to them. We're all looking for, 4 or 5 of them are dog organizations to help spay and neuter dogs and, take care of dogs. But many of them are human oriented, obviously, education oriented, things like that. But 118 or so NGOs are run by Americans here. I'd be lucky if you found 2 in Cabo. It's a much more of a community outreach here. Americans move here retired and they think, I'd like something to do and I want to give back to my community. And so they volunteer their time and get heavily involved with 2 or 3 different NGOs in town.
Greg, it's been a pleasure to speak to you over the course of these last few months. I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation. And of course, during this season, I want to wish you and yours and everybody here in San Miguel a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you, John. And viewers, I'm going to give you one last little special insight about Christmas in Mexico. The poinsettia that you can see behind us here was created in Mexico. Here they're called a Noche Buena, but they were created in Mexico. Did you know that, John?
I did.
I bet he did. He's lived here for 35 years, so he knows those things. I bet a lot of you didn't know that. They were created here in Mexico. So enjoy your poinsettias and your Christmas. Feliz Navidad a todos. Felices fiestas, John.
Thank you, Greg. Pleasure.